This is the story of the town mouse and the country mouse, two great friends who lived in two very different places. The town mouse was called Bartholomew, and he lived in a very fine house. He had delicious food to eat and velvet cushions to sleep on. The country mouse was called Bob, and he lived on a farm in the hollow of an old oak tree. He ate seeds from the fields and had a leaf for a blanket. One day, Bob decided to invite his friend to the country. "Bartholomew, my old pal," he said, "it's been such a long time since I've seen you. Please come to the country for a visit. You'll be very welcome." "What a kind thought," said Bartholomew. "You're a wonderful chap, and I'd love to come. How about Saturday?" "Perfect," said Bob, and the plan was made. Bartholomew had never been to the country before, and he had no idea of what to pack. "Shall I take my best suit, or something less formal?" he wondered. "I know, I'll take everything, just to be safe." So, he got out all his suitcases and carefully folded his finest clothes ready for his trip. He packed suits and shirts, sweaters and jackets, shoes and hats. When he was done, he was quite exhausted. Meanwhile, in the country, Bob set about making his home ready for Bartholomew's arrival. The hollow of the oak tree where he lived was very simple, but it was cosy. "I'll need to clean things up a bit before Bartholomew gets here," he thought. "I'm sure he's used to things being neat and tidy." So he swept the floor, plucked the weeds from around the door, and brushed away the cobwebs. On Saturday morning, Bartholomew caught the 10 o'clock train from the town to the country. He had quite a struggle carrying all his suitcases, but with a bit of effort he managed to get on board. He found a quiet corner by the window and settled down for the journey. "I wonder what fine foods Bob will offer me," thought Bartholomew. "Tasty pastries and delicious pies, I expect." Food was one of Bartholomew's favourite things. A few hours later, there was a knock at Bob's door. "Bartholomew!" exclaimed Bob. "How lovely to see you! Come in and make yourself at home." Bob was quite surprised to see how many suitcases Bartholomew had brought. "It's good to see you too, my old friend," said Bartholomew. "Goodness, what a tiny house you have." "It may be small, but it's home," said Bob. "Have a seat." And he offered Bartholomew an acorn to sit on. "An acorn?" said Bartholomew. "In the town we have fine velvet cushions. They're much more comfortable." After a lunch of seeds and water, which Bartholomew didn't enjoy very much, the two mice went for a stroll around the farm. "What on earth are those?" exclaimed Bartholomew, pointing at the animals. "Those are my neighbours," said Bob. "There's Clary the cow, who gives us milk, and Hermione the hen, who gives us eggs." "Don't be silly," said Bartholomew. "Milk and eggs come from the supermarket. I've never heard of milk and eggs coming from cows and hens." Bob chuckled to himself. Bartholomew and Bob enjoyed a lovely afternoon sitting by the river, catching up on all the gossip. "My dear chap," said Bartholomew, the country is very nice, but I'm not sure I could live here." "Why ever not?" asked Bob. "I have everything I need. It suits me fine." "But where are the fine restaurants?" asked Bartholomew. "And the shops and the theatres? There's so much more to do in the town. You should come to visit." "I'd love to," said Bob, and they made a plan to go to the town the very next day. In the morning, when Bob and Bartholomew boarded the train, Bob was so excited. He'd never been to the town before, but he'd heard so much about it. "You'll love the town," said Bartholomew. "There's so much to see, and there's a real buzz about the place." "I expect it'll be quite different from the country," said Bob. "I wonder what the fields are like." "Fields?" laughed Bartholomew. "We don't have fields in the town. Oh no, we're far too busy for fields." Soon the train reached its destination, and Bob and Bartholomew made their way from the station to Bartholomew's house. The streets were unlike anything Bob had ever seen before. There were cars and buses, trucks and taxis. It was noisy, and everyone seemed to be in a hurry. "You'll have to be quick here," said Bartholomew. "If you dawdle along like you do in the country, you'll get in everyone's way." "Oh, I'm not sure I like this place," thought Bob, and he stayed close to Bartholomew in case he got lost. At last, the two mice arrived at Bartholomew's house. Bob had never seen anywhere like it. There were beautiful paintings in every room and deep carpets on the floors. The hallway alone was the size of the barn at the farm where Bob lived. "Goodness," said Bob. "You really do live in some style." "I knew you'd like it," said Bartholomew. "But keep your voice down. We don't want to disturb the dogs." "Dogs?" said Bob. "You didn't mention there were dogs here." "They won't hurt us," said Bartholomew. "They just get grumpy, and they bark if you wake them up." Bob didn't like the sound of that. Bartholomew took Bob into his favourite room of all, the dining room. "Take a look at this, my friend," said Bartholomew. "If you're hungry, this is the place to be." On the huge oak table were the leftovers from a grand dinner. There was fruit and cheese, ice cream and cake. There were sauces and pies, and a whole mountain of chocolates. Bob had never seen so much food. "Goodness me!" he exclaimed. "There's so much to choose from, I don't know where to start." The two friends hopped up onto the table and began their feast. Then, just as Bartholomew and Bob were enjoying a very tasty piece of cake, the door of the dining room burst open. It was the dogs. They had heard the mice talking, and they bounded in, barking loudly. "Run!" cried Bartholomew. "If they see us in here, we'll be in big trouble." Bartholomew and Bob darted as fast as they could past all the dishes and jumped down onto the floor. "I don't like this very much," said Bob as he and Bartholomew scurried into a mouse hole. As Bartholomew and Bob watched safely from the mouse hole, the cook and the maid came running into the dining room to see what all the commotion was. "Oh, my giddy aunt," said the cook as she saw the dogs running around. "You're not allowed in here." "Shoo," said the maid, "and stop your barking. What a terrible racket you're making." Bob was quivering with fright. "My dear friend," he said to Bartholomew, "the town is certainly exciting, but I couldn't live with all this noise. I think I'll go back to the country in the morning." So that's what he did. Bartholomew was sad to see Bob go, but both mice remained great friends, and they talked often on the phone. Bob told Bartholomew tales of the gentle pace of life in the country, with the animals, the fields, and the river. Bartholomew told Bob stories about the bustle of the town and the dogs who always seemed to be getting into trouble with the cook and the maid. Yes, each mouse was quite glad to be living where he did. And the moral of this story? It's this: what might suit one mouse might not suit another mouse at all.